While a little girl was playing on the beach, she stumbled upon a strange sight. A huge cruise ship was heading straight toward the shore. At first, her parents remained calm, thinking the ship would stop on its own. However, to their surprise, the ship, like a steel beast, rapidly approached the shore in the blink of an eye. The family quickly jumped up and fled the beach. They had no idea what was happening, so they rushed back to their vacation villa. But when they returned, they found that the internet was down. Unaware of the looming crisis, they settled in for the night. That evening, the children, already asleep due to the lack of internet, were deep in slumber. The father, bored, was playing with some building blocks and chatting with his wife. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. When Jack opened the door, he found a man and a woman, both black, standing outside. The man introduced himself as George, and the woman beside him was his daughter, Mira. Jack was confused as to why they were knocking so late. George explained that he was the owner of the villa, the one Jack's family had rented for their vacation. Since the rental transaction had been done online, the two parties had never met. He only knew that the renter was a woman named Julia, who, of course, turned out to be Jack's wife. Although George's return was unexpected, Jack invited them inside to learn more. George went on to explain that, although returning to the villa violated the rental agreement, he had no choice. For reasons unknown, the entire city had experienced a widespread power outage, and the internet had gone down as well. People seemed to be falling into chaos, and to ensure the safety of himself and Mira, he had to bring his daughter back to the old house early. Before coming here, George had tried to reach Julia by phone, but there was no signal. Therefore, he had to rush back with his daughter in the middle of the night. He asked if he and Mira could stay for one night, promising they would leave the next day. Hearing this, Julia immediately refused. After all, according to the rental agreement, the house was now in their possession, and they had the right to refuse any request. Seeing the refusal, George apologized and said, "Please wait a moment," before walking over to a nearby cupboard. He pulled out a key, unlocked the cupboard, and took out a stack of cash. He handed the money to Jack, offering to return half the rent if they allowed him and Mira to stay just for the night. Jack took the money and tried to persuade his wife to accept, but she still refused. The couple then had a private discussion. Julia didn't believe George's story and didn't want to stay with strangers, especially if something dangerous were to happen. Jack, however, didn't think they were lying. Most notably, George knew Julia's name and had been able to open the cupboard. After a heated discussion, they agreed to go back and talk to George again. If they felt anything was off, they would immediately reject his offer. To their surprise, as soon as they stepped outside, George had already prepared cocktails for them. Jack took a sip and praised George for his skill. However, Julia refused to drink, her suspicions growing. She asked what was in the drink and even demanded George show his ID. George fumbled through his pockets but realized his wallet wasn't with him. He quickly explained that he must have left it in the pocket of his coat. Just then, a sharp, disturbing noise blared from the TV.
Тревога национального уровня. Все радио и телетрансляции прекращены до отбоя тревоги. Тревога национального